Hello everyone, and welcome to another day of NGS action. We have a double header today, starting off in Div A, then moving over to Div B West, because we're starting right away with Came From Behind versus Can't Pause, Won't Pause in that Division A, and this is going to be a pretty important game now. Like I've been saying, we are slowly but surely getting close to that playoff time, as all the teams are trying to get into that top 8 or top 6, depending on division, and Div A is a top 8 div. So we'll take a look at the standings with these two teams. Once it loads, as usual, we all know how the standings things works here. I'll try and get something better for next season, just haven't had time, but Came From Behind currently sitting in 7th place with 13 points, but Can't Pause, Won't Pause not too far behind, 9th place with 11 points. Only a 2-point difference between these two teams. Now, it is also important to note that Came From Behind has played less games overall, but this is still a big game for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. If they're able to get this win, if they're able to get this domination, they can help close the gap. They can minimize the difference between those future games and just overall have a much better shot at that playoff berth. But now, with that being said, the map pick and ban has already come through. Coin toss was won by Came From Behind, and they decided on map pick. So Can't Pause, Won't Pause will have the first pick once we get into that draft. So the two bans are going to be Infernal Shrines and Tomb of the Spider Queen for Came From Behind, and Can't Pause, Won't Pause, and this isn't even my own pun, this is a direct quote, banning out the two skies, Sky Temple and Volskaya Foundry, from this series, with the first map being that Battlefield of Eternity. And as we all know, Battlefield of Eternity, lots of fun. One of my favorites, this and Braxis Holdouts. Any map that starts with B is always my favorite. Yeah, I don't think there are any others now that I think about it. I was going to say except for, but there's really nothing else. I guess Braxis Outpost, but no one's really no one's talking about the Aran maps when we talk about that. But either way, should be a pretty fun one today. These two teams are pretty close in the standings, and hopefully they're going to be pretty close in the way they're going to start playing against each other. Now, unfortunately, I haven't managed to cast too much Div A this season, so I am a little bit behind from what teams play, how they like to play overall. Just in general, I haven't really touched too much of this Div A this season. But hopefully in the playoffs, I'll be able to pick up more games. There will be less series spread out, which in turn will kind of open up my options when it comes to catching these games. But now all 10 players are in the lobby, so we're beginning the ready check. I'm ready. One of the teams ready. Just need the second team to be ready. And we are a go. Now, Battlefield of Eternity, depending on the composition you want to build, for the most part, it is going to be either that team fight comp or it's going to be those racing comps. Those are the two main ones we see. Though even with that, we've seen a few exceptions, but too little to really talk about, especially since we don't really know these teams. But now we are in the draft, which means it is also time for our prediction to get started. But like I said, first pick is going to be going to Can't Pause Bone Pause, so they will have the first choice of any heroes they like. And typically, that does get picked up by one of the racing heroes. So something like the Vala, something like the Greymane, anything that's really good at racing tends to get picked up first. Though again, it's not a rule, it is just what is more common. Well, that being said, Can't Pause Zone Pause, they will still have the first ban this time around, so they could decide to get rid of something that they just that they deem a little bit too annoying to play. I mean, there's a lot of options for racing heroes. There's going to be the Li Ming, the Greymane, the Vala. But instead, they are going to decide to ban away the Stukov instead. Obviously, really powerful during those team fights, so really annoying to deal with. That Lurking Arm, in my opinion, it's the most annoying individual ability in the game. Besides potentially a well-placed Umbral Bind, but most Umbral Binds are annoying because of the full kit, not just that ability on its own. But Anduin going to get banned for Came From Behind, so both teams, at least to start, going to be removing those healers. But other things that are typically picked or banned here, it is going to be either those team fighting tanks like the Anubrak, probably the single best engaged tank in the game, or those tanks that can kind of hold areas. So Johanna, definitely the most common for that. But I've seen a couple teams playing Mei. I think Mei accomplishes pretty similar stuff to that. Garrosh can hold an area. Diablo can hold an area. Blaze, that's an interesting ban. That's most likely going to be banning out that offlaner for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. But I am still a little bit surprised to see it get removed. Obviously, it is very good at holding his own. So if trying to defend one of the Immortals, it is one of the better picks for sure. But it is rare where we see that actually banned away on the side of on Battlefield of Eternity. So it does show that they have some respect to the offlaner for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. But first pick, gonna be the Hogger, locked in for Marbuckle. Now, Hogger, a really solid hero. Also can teamfight really well. Both of the heroics are really solid for those teamfights. The Shockwave and the Hortipult being able to get immediately into the backline or even coming in from the side can really accomplish a lot of craziness as Artanis gotta get locked in for Gurk Freezer and the Tychus locked in for Mojo. If Hoku's not around, could someone in chat please ping Hoku? They must see this. This is why they exist, to watch these Artanis games. But this is one of the few maps where Artanis is genuinely good and genuinely viable. It's definitely a more niche hero, to say the least. But it can race quite well as an offlaner, and depending on how the dueling goes, could even go the Protector of Vire talent level 1 and just start stacking up infinite damage. So that in turn makes it better racing. So depends what you're looking for. But Deckard King going to get locked in for My Pal Shade, and Li Ming locked in for Waterlong. So Li Ming's definitely going to be their more racing-oriented hero. Obviously, will still be really proficient in these teamfights. Has a lot of burst damage, assuming it can land. But the next set of bans coming through, the Garrosh going to get banned away by Came From Behind. And, I mean, we all know how annoying a good Garrosh can be. We've seen it literally in every single division. I think all the way from Div E to Heroic Div. A good Garrosh is just so annoying to play into. But with the Diablo getting banned as well, the tank pool in general, not getting fully targeted, but 3 bans towards that is definitely pretty high. But now Top Gun going to lock in the Uther. Now, I've seen a couple Uther main tanks, so I'm gonna hesitate before calling it the main healer here. Because double healer is starting to get pretty popular. And Kel'Thuzad locked in for Mr. Hustler. Now, I've seen a couple of KTZs picked up before in different games. I do believe this is my first time casting one on Battlefield of Eternity, though. Typically is better at those longer maps, but with those heroics, it's really good at starting fights. And I mean, everything I'm seeing right now Came From Behind definitely look like they're setting up a team fight composition. Especially, you know, whenever you see the Uther, that's going to be a healer that brings a lot of control. It's going to be a healer that brings a lot of ability to team fight. Last 2 picks coming in for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Gray Mane for Silent Shu, and the Chen for Cubico. So it looks like it's going to be a main tank Chen. That's pretty interesting. I've seen it theorized a couple of times before, and I've even seen it a couple times in Storm League. This will be my first time seeing an NGS match, though. Both Wandering Keg, it's also incredibly good at holding the zone. And see, that's why I didn't call that Uther the main healer. Malfurion going to be picked up by Huckett. So that will be main tank Uther and main healer Malfurion. But I mean, the racing definitely benefiting the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Greymane and Li Ming, either of them would be able to outrace almost 2 people from the side of Came From Behind. So Came From Behind definitely going to have to team fight, definitely going to have to start zoning away Can't Pause, Won't Pause. At least just in terms of draft and composition. But without further ado, let's get started with game number 1.
Prepare yourselves for battle.
All right, and we are in map number 1, Battlefield of Eternity, between Came From Behind and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. And let's see if that holds true, because as anyone who's been a regular on this channel knows that TokiB games come with TokiB pauses. It's been a lot better this week, but I think there was a solid maybe 7 or 8 streams in a row where we had at least 1 pause per stream. But hopefully that will end, or not end, but hopefully that will not happen today. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause doing a little bit of an interesting start. It looks like they're sending 4 members straight top, as all 5 members that Came From Behind are going out to that bot lane. I wonder if they're trying to pick off the offlaner, or if they're just simply trying to it doesn't look like they're going to try getting onto the fort early on. But now all 4 of them are going to be there, so it's going to be split lanes. Now I'm trying to think. I don't think there's actually anything bad about that on Battlefield of Eternity. Because in maps like Towers of Doom, there are more camps towards the bottom side. So there are reasons why you want to have the majority of your team in the bot lane. But nothing like that on Battlefield of Eternity. And they're getting a lot of structural damage right to start. The Hog Wild going to be used to get away. My pal Shade going to get hooked with those chains. But now the Scroll of Sealing going to land onto the back line. And they will all be able to back away, though they definitely take a decent chunk of damage there. So that's going to be the hard part for them once this game does begin. It's always hard to out DPS a double heal composition, but this is going to be Inner Beast, by the way, so it's not going to be the Worgen Form build, but I never really expect the Worgen Form build on Battlefield of Eternity. Because the Viciousness is one of the single best talents when it comes to racing onto the Immortals. But now the fights are starting to break out into the top side, and both sides have successfully transitioned to be focused more in the top lane. And I do think it's interesting that Came From Behind, instead of trying to push away, as the chain's gonna land on it too. Good root, good damage on the back line, and with the entangling roots. Sorry, there we go. It actually has a lot of control and a lot of damage. So whenever those chains do land, they get a lot of value from it on the side of Came From Behind. Definitely powerful in the lane. But now Mojo going to get started on the siege camp, while the rest of the team will continue to push on the top side. Silent Shu, however, is starting to move through the bot side. Now it is going to be the amateur opponent, so it is going to be that racing Artanis. Not going to have the infinite stacking, but will be very good at killing down those immortals. 150% bonus damage is so much, by the way. Adds quite a bit of damage. That's 2.5 times auto. So basically counts as 5 autos per cast. That's quite a lot of damage. But now both the siege camps did get taken by both these teams. Top Gun just going to stun onto Cubico, but not going to be able to accomplish too much with that. It is the main tank, Chen. And Chen already is very difficult to take down just because of the way the hero is designed. Has a lot of shielding. You kind of need to burst them down or just have so much consistent DPS that you can burn through the shield. Lockdown as well will prevent them, but Cubico could be getting actually very low and will get finished off. May have gone a little bit too far in with that flying kick, but either way, that's going to be first blood for Came From Behind just as the Immortals spawn. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause. During all that, they did manage to take the Bruiser Camp, so they're going to have a nice passive push on the top side, while the Bruiser Camp on the side of Came From Behind has yet to be touched. But the entire team free hitting onto the Immortal. They're going to get halftime very soon. Now, Silent Shoe was able to take a little bit of the damage off of the shield. And so they're not completely starting from scratch, but now they're going to be first on the Immortal. Cubico and My Pal Shade and Marbuckle as well. Looking towards Gurk Freezer. They have the Staggering Blow stun. And with the Hog Wild, Gurk Freezer is going to go down. Now Huckett in the middle of everyone in the backline, but but the main DPS, Silent Shoe, is just racing in the backline, just trying to DPS onto that Immortal as fast as possible. Top Gun starting to get stunned into the wall. Scroll of Ceiling just zoning away a lot of space. The Arcade Orb lands onto 2. Chains of Kel'Thuzad not going to land on too many players as Cubico just standing there tanking up the team. And with that, Can Pause, Won't Pause, they should be able to get this Immortal. Should be pretty free for them. Silent Shoe just needs a couple more hits. And I think it's a bit too late for Kane from behind. Now, they will at least start on their bruiser camp. They will have that pushing in the bot side. Oh, interestingly enough, that's actually going to the top side despite them getting that early push there. So I guess lots of damage has been done by Marbuckle over onto that bot lane wall as well. So Can Pause, Won't Pause. They're going to have a pretty solid advantage here. They're going to have a nice solid push now. It is an early Immortal, so it isn't super powerful yet. And the shield isn't super large either. But level 7, going to come through now for Kane from behind. Both teams aren't even talents here. But again, with it being an early game Immortal, I don't suspect too many fights coming through. Unless someone does get a massive ability combo off. But right now, they're already onto the fort. And even getting the wall down and getting all of this good poke damage onto the fort, that already is going to be worth it for that first set. Or for that first Immortal. As the chain's going to land into the backline. And you know what? They might even have enough damage to finish this off. Silent Shoe will be able to get the last hit with the help of the minions. So first forward. Going the wave, Can Pause, Won't Pause. And that's a really good value from that first Immortal. Now they could even look for a fight. They have the stun on a Cubico. Top Gun not going to get caught by the Scroll of Ceiling, but is standing in the front line. The chains will not land. Flying kick into the backline. Mojo taking a good bit of poke from Waterlong. But again, with the double healer composition, unless the initiation is perfect and you're able to burst someone down immediately, preferably one of the healers, the fight afterwards becomes so much harder as Marbuckle in a bad spot. Gonna get chained up into the Kona. Just a couple more arrows. Hog Wild will buy space, but will not buy them their life back. It's going to be another kill going over towards Kane from behind. And while that's going on, Gurk Freezer going to be grabbing that siege camp in the bot lane as well, as both sides will be able to trade on those siege camps again. But now Cubico looking towards Gurk Freezer, but it is just the Chen alone in the bot lane. And now both sides, it looks like they're going to start pushing in opposite lanes, or at least that was my original thought, but came from behind. They want to come down here and defend. And I think they know that right now trading stuff will put them further behind. But Top Gun walking forward. Cubico going to be able to scout it out, but the Entangling Root's not going to land the swap. And with the root into the chain, actually going to work pretty well. Now Hand of Justice as well. Cubico starting to get pretty low, but with the health potions, will be able to at least back out. And will be fine overall. Huckett takes a little bit of poke from Waterlong, but not too much. Now the top lane is pushing in for Can Pause, Won't Pause. One more staggering blow to really help out the push. But because of this, Came from behind, they're at least going to be able to get started on the Immortal first. But now the racing should be a little bit stronger on the side of Can Pause, Won't Pause. But maybe that extra bit of time will be enough. Marbuckle also getting in the way, trying to get a couple stuns there in the on the other Immortal, but it will actually be Can Pause, Won't Pause winning out, at least for the first half. But now the heroics are available for both teams, so the main abilities are now available. It is going to be the Wandering Keg, and it's going to be burned immediately. Just trying to zone them away, but they have the chain, and they're able to swap on. Waterlong starting to get pretty low, but will be blinded. But as Mojo getting jumped on in the backline as well. The size has come through. It's going to be that... what is that ability called again? That is going to be that Twilight Dream. And now Cubico in the middle of everyone in the backline. 4v1, but it is the Chen. Is pretty tanky. Able to just back away. But either way, the race currently benefiting. But Waterlong gets swapped, gets stunned, and nowhere to run. Just going to get autoed down by Huckett, who's able to get the last hit. And with that, they should be able to take control of this Immortal. And Can Pause, Won't Pause. They could look to fight, but again, into the double healer composition, it's so difficult. And now they have the swap as well, but not going to be able to find anyone else. Cubico just trying to buy a little bit of time, a little bit of space because the sooner they're going to have Waterlong back, the better position they will be in. But Wandering Keg splitting off Huckett, but the root is there. Huckett just getting pushed backwards as Kiviko trying to jump onto it. Silent Shoot just needs a few more autos, and one more won't be able to do it. The last little bit of healing will come out in time, as now Mojo just overkilling in the front line, buying a little bit of space, and now the Horrible in the back there with the Disintegrate. Gonna land onto one, and now can they get more out of it? It is just going to be the solo kill. But during all of that, the Immortal is pushing down, already going to be finishing off this bot lane wall, and going to start aiming towards this bot lane fort. So big win for Came From Behind. They are going to be able to get the second Immortal, and all that started with a pretty solid pickoff onto Waterlong. Definitely not the easiest target to pick off, but if you're able to get it, it really lowers the amount of damage that Canpause Wonpause can do, both on the Immortal and in the team fights. And it opens up a lot of possibility for them, especially when it comes to just trying to zone out Canpause Wonpause. The other main DPS is going to be the Silent Shoe for the race, but doesn't have a lot of range. So if you're able to take control of the area, Silent Shoe not going to be able to accomplish too much on the objectives. But now the Bruiser Camp going to go down for Came From Behind. They're going to be there just in time to watch their bot lane wall fall, but will be able to prevent any kind of other play coming through from Canpause Wonpause. Now when it comes to levels, these two teams, they are pretty even. I say pretty even. They're basically identical right now. Came From Behind now going up slightly ahead, but they do have a pretty large wave in the bot lane, as Disintegrate gonna be used just to get some damage on it. But now Mr. Hustler getting pushed back with the Wandering Keg, just getting stuck behind enemy lines. But now they have the silence, they have the blind coming out over top. The suppression pulse dealing a lot of damage, and they're able to take down one. But Gurk Freezer, 20 HP, but will get the shield proc just in time. Waterlog looking for the damage. Disintegrate, not going to be enough. The double healer Came From Behind going to be more than enough to survive, as they're able to take down the bottom fort, and they still have the push happening. It will get cleared out by Marbuckle and Waterlong, but I mean, it's a push happening in the bot lane. The Immortals are spawning in 10 seconds, and they're going to have a numbers advantage. Now, level 13 talent is up for both these two teams. So both teams, they're ready, and they're willing to start moving forward. But now Mr. Hustler gonna start DPSing onto this Immortal as well, as both sides just bringing all of their members into this. And we can kind of see both angles here, but it Came From Behind definitely winning out this time around. 18.5k to 13k. So 5k more damage, and now they're looking for the fight. Top Gun gonna walk forward, gonna try to engage, and they have the sleep, they have the DPS onto My Pal Shade. The Frost Nova swap as well. But again, the potion is there. They have the healing. Staggering Blow just going to push Gurk Freezer away. And they're getting zoned into their own Immortal. And that's where Canpause Wonpause want to fight, because now they can start DPSing. Stay a while and listen. Lands on to multiple. As Marbuckle looking into the backline, they're looking towards Huckett. And now the Suppression Pulse is going to land. But everyone has been on top in the backline. And now Huckett is the one getting jumped, but will be able to rejoin the team. Silent Shoot in the middle of everyone. And they have the stun. They have the Twilight Promise as well. And that's going to be able to take down Silent Shoe. And with the Entangling Roots, with the stun, they're able to take down the Chen, take down the Old Man. Waterlong still trying to survive, but is the final member, but should burn down to the quarterback. And with the bottom Frost Nova, not going to be able to land. But that's a 5-0. Came From Behind, winning out hard on these team fights. And they're going to be able to get themselves an Immortal as their prize. Now their offlane was getting pushed in a little bit, but I think this is something that Came From Behind they'll be able to deal with. They don't mind too much for it. But they will be okay losing their top lane wall in order to get that Immortal. And because it's going over to the top side, there's not much HP left on this wall. This should be a pretty clean top lane fort take. But the rest of Canpause Wonpause has respawned, and actually Came From Behind. They're sending most of their players out to the bot lane. So we'll be a little bit late on this push. That could give time for Canpause Wonpause to DPS it out, but even with that, I think they should be in a pretty good position to take down this fort. As Mojo walking forward, just going to be throwing the grenade for some poke damage. And the Disintegrate just being used to DPS it down into range form. As the Draken Laser Drill gonna get put down. And yeah, this fort is gone, but level 16 talents are now available. The cleanse gonna come through for Gurk Freezer. But the push continues. They could definitely keep looking towards this wall. Cubiko gonna get pushed back a little bit. But again, the dynamite is just all that DPS getting thrown onto this immortal. I don't think they'll be able to get too much else. But now the Wandering Keg, they're trying to engage. Huckett is their target. They've been aiming towards this target, but they're not going to be able to get it. They have the size. They have the swap. And Cubico gonna go down. And now they have all the massive stuns. The Divine Storm landing on a 2. And it's a 3-0. And now they definitely can start looking towards this keep. They had the level 16 advantage for that fight. And it definitely came out to show. If you're not able to take down Huckett early, they're going to be able to just walk it down. And that is the power of these double healer composition that came from behind. They're looking good. They want to end the game. Mr. Hustler is going to be the target for Marbuckle. Dynamite, Hog Wallet as well, but not going to be enough DPS to get the kill. The face swap not going to be coming through either. But can't pause, won't pause. At the very least, they should have bought enough space to not lose the game here. And they're not even going to take any permanent damage onto the core. The shield going to be slowly regenning up, but will be more than good enough. So they will live to fight another day, but the talent advantage right now, 2 full levels ahead is came from behind. So they're looking very good for this map number 1 on the BOE. Now the Bruiser camp is still available. They did take that top siege camp, and the bottom siege camp is also up. They came from behind. They could try to look to grab that level 20 ASAP. And I think they could even take their time to just push with the next Immortals. It is only 30 seconds away. They have very good map positioning, and if they're able to take down all these camps as well, it'll definitely benefit the pressure that they're able to output on the map. Their bot lane's also going to be passively pushing regardless of any camps that they're able to take as well. So even if they're able to slow down the fights, that will be able to give them that a little bit of an advantage during these possible pushes. And now the Immortals have spawned and came from behind. They're there first. But right now it seems the call is to just try and defend their own. Because, again, once you have the wave advantages, you can take your time. You can let the waves do their thing. Because right now, look at this. Someone has to go down and deal with this. And now Marbuckle's showing, Waterlong is showing. And because of that, came from behind. Now they know they can walk forward. They can safely walk in and just start DPSing onto the structures. Or onto the Immortals. And as soon as they see them coming back, they don't have to go in. They can just take their time. They have the code and they're able to get the swap. Frost Nova as well. And immediately bursting down. Silent Shoe getting one hit by Mr. Hustler. Along with the suppression pulse coming out from Gurk Freezer. Now they're looking with the Divine Storm. They're going to be able to take down Cubico. And it's a 2-0 to start this fight. And came from behind. With that, they're definitely going to be able to get to halftime. And I think they're going to be able to get more. They don't have the main tank. They don't have the main auto attack DPS left on Can't Pause, Won't Pause. This should be free and might even end up being a full shield Immortal. Though, as they say, that Waterlong will at least be able to get some damage on it, but most likely not too much. Has to wait for those cooldowns to disintegrate. Gonna be burned as well. Just trying to get as much DPS done. That's still gonna be a 28.5k shielded Immortal coming down to the bot lane. And level 20's getting really close for came from behind as well. They should be able to get it during this push. They're already less than a quarter away, less than a fifth of a level away. And perhaps with the structure and one more wave, they will get that level 20. And now Wandering Keg trying to buy some space, looking for Top Gun suppression pulse, lands into the back line. Mojo getting dove on, but they're going to be able to take down one of the carries. Mojo is the second one, and they're aiming for it, but the double healer able to provide enough space. Now Cubico in the middle of everyone. They have the root, they have the storm, and they have the damage. As Cubico with the shield will be okay for now, but now the Hogwild in the back line not going to be there. The Draken Laser Drill is helping out more than enough now. Shoebuff gonna get stunned up, and with the Divine Storm, they're gonna be able to take it out. It's a 3-0 so far, and now Top Gun also getting low, but again, the double healer and just the amount of lockdown that came from behind have really coming through. Now Waterfront already used the teleport, gotta get slowed, and gotta get finished off. And that should be it. Came from behind with the 5-0 with the Immortal. They're going to be able to walk in and end the game. Game 1 goes to Came from Behind. And I mean, Came from Behind, they had pretty good control for most of the game. They did have to give away that first Immortal. And Can't Pause, Won't Pause, to give them credit, they got good advantage from that. They immediately took down the fort, and they had their waves pushing in on that second Immortal fight. Bud came from behind. Their team composition so difficult to play into. The Uther has so much lockdown. Kel'Thuzad has so much lockdown. Malfurion able to combo out with the Entangling Roost on top. Pair that with having a double healer. And they didn't really have much of a burst composition on the side of Can Pause, Won't Pause. At least not one that's able to reach the backline consistently. So because of that, came from behind. They're going to win game number 1, and they're going to have the lead in this series. But we're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, it'll be game number 2. So don't go anywhere. All right. Welcome back to game number 2 between Came From Behind and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. We are going to Brax's Holdout. And as some of you in the chat have already seen, we are going to be having a giveaway for an NGS t-shirt as soon as we reach 100,000 points in the community challenge. Now we're just a little bit over 4K points today, so a very good chance this raffle will happen today. And just so everyone's aware, the way it works is once we hit those 100,000 total points, everyone who's in chat at the end of that stream, and note that today it is a doubleheader, so it will be a little bit later, I can enter the raffle, and whoever ends up winning it will be able to get that free NGS t-shirt. So be sure to donate your points and be sure to stick around for potentially the end of today's stream. But now with that, we have the draft beginning. It is going to be pretty similar bands to start. And when I say pretty similar, I mean identical bands. It's going to be the Stukov band for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. And it is going to be the Anduin and now the Blaze for Came From Behind. But now things are a little bit different because Came From Behind is the one with the first pick. So this was a map pick for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They did lose game 1, so they did get the decider, and they're actually going to ban away the Genji second. I believe last time they banned away the Anubrax. That is going to be available for Came From Behind if they do want it early on. It is still really good at team fighting. It is still very good at getting pickoffs. Probably the single best engage tank in the game. Though definitely lacking in some of those other places. Now 3 seconds left. It is Braxis, so more often than not we see the 1-4 setup, but we have seen a couple 2-3s. We've seen a couple 3-2s. We've seen a lot of fancy stuff happening on Braxis, especially this season. But it is going to be Junkrat first pick, going for Gurk Freezer. And Junkrat obviously going to be really good for the control during teamfights, but also on defense is able to absolutely shred through the Zerg. Has a lot of range with those grenades. Riptire pretty much one-shots the backline. Not entirely. I believe it does survive a little bit, but they definitely get a very low. But as a response, Can't Pause, Won't Pause is going to lock in the Dahaka for Marbuckle and the Vala for Silent Shoe. They have good DPS. They have a good offlane. Now, Brush Stalker, not going to have as much of an impact on this map, but obviously Dahaka is still going to be strong even without it. As the Garrosh Malfurion combo going to be coming in for Came From Behind for Mr. Hustler and Huckett. So they will have that extra engage capability. And by picking the Garrosh, last time Can't Pause, Won't Pause, I believe Came From Behind banned the Garrosh, Can't Pause, Won't Pause banned the Diablo. But now that Garrosh has been picked by Came From Behind, it's very difficult to play the Diablo into it, so it is kind of an effective ban towards the Diablo as well. The Can't Pause, Won't Pause, they're going to pivot, they're going to ban away the Falstad instead, trying to get rid of any of that global pressure. And the Hammering also deals quite a bit of damage on this map too. It is constant fighting, so those stacks grow very, very quickly. The Came From Behind with the final ban. I mean, they could still ban away a tank, could ban a healer, could ban a flex. Basically every single thing is available for them to ban out, just because of how Dahaka and Vala work. But they are going to ban away the main tank. They're going to get rid of the Johanna. Now, Johanna hasn't been played yet this series, so definitely not going to be touched, at least in this game 2 either. Potentially, if we do have a game 3, could see it there. But there are still a couple solid tanks. Again, the Anubrak not going to get banned away this time around. ETC's available if they want that. May less often pick, but still seen every now and then. As speaking of not often seen, Probius locked in for Waterlong. And the Yorick locked in for Cubico. So it is the double bruiser frontline so far, and Probius as the flex pick. I'm even a little bit surprised they had picked this early on. It does give Came From Behind a little bit of opportunity to try picking into it. But I'm not sure what you really pick in a Probius. I mean, it's just one of those heroes. You pretty much never see it in Storm League. Even in Quick Match, you don't see it super often. So unless you're practicing with it or into it, it's not something you have a lot of experience dealing with. But as a response, Mojo going to lock in the Samuro And Top Gun going to lock in the Imperious. Now, I do think Samuro could be a pretty good answer to Probius, so I'm wondering if that's kind of the matchup that they're going to be doing. But, yeah, I mean, I have no idea how to read this. I don't know how Probius works. I don't know what counters Probius. I don't know what makes Probius good in what situation, so I'm just not even going to bother asking. But final pick going to be the healer, Lieutenant Morales, locked in for my pal Shade. Yeah, so we're just going to have to see how this game goes. I mean, from my only thoughts on this is there's probably a reason why Probius isn't picked often. So because of that, I would give the draft edge over to Came From Behind. But at the same time, if you're picking something no one really gets to practice against, that on its own will give an advantage. With that being said, let's head into game number 2. But before we do, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Legend of Mushroom. Take a look. All right, and that was Legend of Mushroom, the sponsor of today's stream. Click the link in the chat or click the panel down below. Download the game for free on your phone, and even just installing it helps support this stream and any future casts that I do give here. Well, with that being said, let's get headed into game number 2. So it does look like they're sending Mojo top for the side of Came From Behind. And it is going to be a 2-3 split for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. It's going to be Probius, Leoric, and Lieutenant Morales in the bot lane. And it's going to be Marbuckle with Silent Shoe, Dahaka, and Vala in the top side. So pretty interesting setup there. There's a little bit of poke just going to be tossed in. Waterlong just throwing down those cannons. What's that thing called? Not the photon cannon, the Disruption Pulse. So the Disruption Pulse is definitely going to be that big DPS ability. It does provide quite a bit of burst, as Top Gun going to be rotating off into the top side is Silent Shoe and Marbuckle. It is now the 2v2 in the top side. They're looking for Silent Shoe, and it is Creed of the Hunter build, by the way, but Marbuckle starting to get low, going to walk into the brush for that bonus speed. They will be able to get the drag, but it is just going to be on that clone. So now the question is, so right now, at least from what we saw, that 2v2 definitely seemed to be benefiting the side of Came From Behind. I mean, it's always difficult dealing with a Samuro, and Imperious is one of the strongest dueling heroes in the game. So it does make it a very, very difficult lane for them to play into. But now Silent Shoe going to be running to the bot lane as they're going to be swapping lanes again. We got a little bit of an early advantage, and it seems like they were happy just to leave it at that. But now Cubico looking for Mr. Hustler. As Shupov trying to walk forward to get a couple autos, but not going to be able to get in range. It is difficult to walk in as actually the Mr. Hustler gets thrown by the grenade from my pal Shade into that ability from Waterlong, as I forgot it again, the Disruption Pulse. I'm going to be checking it multiple times. But now they have the Celestial Charge, as now they always have the Wrecking Ball into the Concussion Mine, and they're going to be able to take Silent Shoe down basically immediately, and that's going to be a Gambit stack gone at 1.5 minutes. That is the single best target that Came From Behind could have found. As now on the top side, Mojo has the pressure, has the point, and even able to get a little bit of a push. But now Cubico there as well. Marbuckle Mojo going to get low, and they will be able to take them down. So going to be traded off immediately in the top. But again, without the Gambit, a little bit less value in that kill. But they will be able to stop the channeling of the beacon. 30% is still pretty solid for Came From Behind to get. As now both sides looking to trade against Silent Shoe, going to vault away, but still the Wrecking Ball is there. But Mr. Hustler, not enough HP, Celestial Charge does that to the backline. And again, Silent Shoe is gone, but a Gurk Freezer does go down. And Hawkins going to get pulled back as well. My pal Shade going to get traded on the backline. So it is a 3-for-2. Slight benefit to Can't Pause, Won't Pause. But again, that's another Gambit stack from Creed of the Hunter gone. That's 10% less attack speed. Now Marbuckle trying to walk away. Top Gun and Mojo able to build a little bit of space now with the drag. Mojo actually getting taken down decently low, but we'll be able to just jump away. So let's just charge. Reliance on the 2. Top Gun just trying to trade. With Marbuckle looking for Mojo. If the drag was up and if it landed, could have been a very good spot. Now Waterlong putting down the Photon Cannon, and the Wrecking Ball is on the way and will be able to bring back Silent Shoe, but Sorry about that, but this time around, no DPS was there, but the concussion mine was able to bring Silent Shoot even further back. So this will be a pretty difficult start for this Vala. We'll still be able to get some good scaling once those Greed of the Hunter stacks do stack up. But losing that attack speed early on, while obviously it does lower the overall DPS, it also makes it take longer to stack as there's some good trading in the top side. Marbuckle just fighting with Top Gun, and Top Gun will be the first to go down. Cubico and Marbuckle. They have all of their real frontliners off in that top side, but that is winning them the top lane. As Silent Shoot getting a couple autos onto Gurk Freezer. We'll be able to get at least a little bit of value. The concussion mine almost lands on a Silent Shoot. Just likely not going to be in range as Mr. Hustler getting poked down. A few autos, but with the vault, we'll be able to back away. But now this time, they're looking towards that healer, My Pal Shay. But Cubico is here. Gurk Freezer starting to get low. With the vault, not going to be enough damage. Into the fray, going to be coming out of Mr. Hustler to save Gurk Freezer. And now 94% beacon progress on came from behind, but now can't pause, won't pause. Will be able to channel a little bit of their own as Top Gun finds the back line. Will be able to get a little bit of value there. And the entangling roots do buy enough space that Mr. Hustler will be able to survive with it. And now the healing is still coming through. My Pal Shay just trying everything. And so much lockdown on a Cubico. I'm surprised Cubico did not go down there. But Mr. Hustler throws them right back in. And now Mr. Hustler could have gone a little bit too far as well. 100 HP. But the Celestial Charger to the backline. Cubico still alive. And both sides still fighting. Gurk Freezer will be the next to go down. As a couple more autos will hit. It's going to be a 2-for-0 for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. And they will be able to retake this bottom beacon. As Marbuckle trying to trade off into the top side. Top Gun is there as well, so it is going to be that 2v1 for a little bit. But Marbuckle looking to trade, just trying to DPS onto anyone, looking for Mojo. And Mojo's starting to get really low, but so is Marbuckle, as Cubico is here as well. And it is going to be that full trade, but now the drag does land. Do they have enough damage to finish off Top Gun? And they do. But both sides, 100% Zerg. These are going to be some big pushes. Whoever's able to defend better will definitely get more value. But they did take down the entire wall in the bot side for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. So they have left of a buffer on the side of Came From Behind. As Marbuckle just going to immediately jump to the backline, trying to get a little bit more damage onto those Zerg. And with the drag just going to be used for a little bit more damage, Cubico going to be able to walk into the Disruption Pulse. We'll be able to clean it out before they even lose their wall. But the story is different in this bot lane. These Zerg, they're pushing onto this fort extremely hard. They got a little Zerglings. They got a couple of Hydralisks. And 515 HP is all that's left there.
Is it safe out there now?
So big win for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Despite them both having the same amount of Zerg, their push definitely had more value. They were able to get that pick off on a Top Gun 707, which I think definitely delayed the push. And then also having that wall already gone gave them so much more pressure and gave them so much more buffer area for them to defend on the top side as well. Now there will be a pause for, or not a pause. I shouldn't use that word. That's a cursed word on this stream. But there will be a momentary lapse of inaction for both teams as they do go back to take their camps. But level 10s now up for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. This could be an opportunity for them to try and play aggressively. And it does look like that's the plan. They're already moving through this middle area. Huckett could be the first target, and that's who they have in the Entomb. But now they have the concussion mine. Huckett gonna get saved by the Into the Fray. Mr. Hustler gonna be there to hustle Can't Pause, Won't Pause. But they still have the heroic advantage. They could still be looking towards this Bruiser camp. As what does this thing even do? Null Gate, protective barrier. Yeah, I've never seen that ability in my life, but I don't even know what it looks like. Like, literally, telling me to imagine it, I cannot. But they will be able to steal this Bruiser camp, so at least getting something for their level 10s. It's going to get just a little bit of poke damage onto the forts, not too much, but it will also force Mojo to spend the time dealing with the camp, and that will allow the minions a little bit of free push as well. Now both sides starting to group near the bot side. It is going to be 1v1 on the top side, 4v4 in the bot lane. As Came From Behind gonna hit their level 10s now as well. It is going to be the typical Blade Storm coming out for the Samuro. Now Silent Shoot did already get that first set of 50 for the auto attack, so we'll be having those stacks coming into play now. Still will be a while before Silent Shu is able to get too much value from it, but now the trades could start happening. They have the Wrecking Ball into the backline. The taunt lands as well, but Silent Shu just DPSing into the backline as they throw in Cubico, and now that the Celestial Charge into the backline will be able to buy some space with the Entomb, but Top Gun still there in a very good spot, getting trade a little bit back and forth. The vault from Silent Shu. Mr. Hustler looking for the front line, has so much belief in that armor, and it's working out. The Rocket Ride gonna land on a My Pal Shade in the backline, but again, just barely not enough for the kill. As Marbuckle will be able to secure the top side, and Can't Pause, Won't Pause will be able to tank up the bot side. But now, because of that, came from behind. They're sending a lot of team members up there. Top Gun almost landing on a Marbuckle with the Celestial Charge. Won't be able to find it. But still 38% of the beacon progress going towards Can't Pause, Won't Pause. As Marbuckle looking to play forward. Top Gun will get hit by the Dragons. Now the taunt from Mr. Hustler with a concussion mine onto the backline. Cubico is alone, but that is the member you want there. But with the Celestial Charge, they're able to provide even more space. Rain of Vengeance. Top Gun will go down, and the Entomb again onto Huckett. But this time, Mr. Hustler not able to save Huckett. Gurk Freezer will be the one saved instead, but Marbuckle still looking for it. And with one more hit, not even needed, just going to burn down to that, I don't even know what that is. Just going to burn down to the Dark Swarm. And it's going to be a 4-0 in favor of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. And now they can push down this top lane forward. The bot lane forward did go down at some point. And this is a very big moment for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. This is a pretty snowballing map. Once you're able to take control of this vertical line, it is so hard to come back. That Zerg is always going to be able to accomplish something in its pushes. But now the team fight could be coming through. They have the Special Charge on it too. They're sleeping on My Pal Shade, and now the taunt lands into the backline as well. My Pal Shade just trying to keep them alive. But the Twilight Promise is coming through. Cubico will have the Entomb, but it is Mr. Hustler, not the main target that they want, but they're still going to DPS a little bit. Tranquility is the one I meant. I always get those two wrong, but Silent Shu actually goes down. Mojo able to get that pick in the backline. I saw Mojo chasing him, but I thought that was just going to be a light chase to zone them away. I did not expect the kill to come through, but now the Rocket Ride will deal quite a bit of damage to the Zerg. But either way, that's a full wave of Zerg pushing into the top side. The defense is pretty good, so they're not getting too much value onto the structures. And Mr. Hustler is in the backline, so actually really well defended by Came From Behind. They barely took any damage at all on their top lane structures, but the bot lane, that's where the real push is happening right now. They have the Siege Camp. They have Waterlong and Cubico just pushing it as hard as they can. It was just a couple hits from that Disruption Pulse. They will be able to get most of this wall gone. And the Photon Cannon with a couple more autos will be able to finish off this bot lane wall. But now Mojo is in the backline, will throw out the clones. With Marbuckle, they have the Entomb, but the Entangling Roots lands on the 2 Concussion Mine. Going to throw Cubico into the backline, and then the Wrecking Ball going to throw Marbuckle into the backline. But Marbuckle still running around for a little bit, will be able to heal back up as Mr. Hustler starting to get a little bit low, but the Tranquility coming out over top. Top Gun looking for a play in the backline as well. Gonna pop the... what even is that thing? The Angelic Armaments, but won't be able to get it. Instead, the first target to go down, it is going to be a 1-for-1 for the Dahaka and for the Imperius, but now they're able to finish off another member. They're just looking for everyone. It's 2-for-2 so far, as both sides just trading fully evenly in these fights. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They're still getting a little bit more damage on the push, but Mojo looking for the back line. But with these Photon Cannons and the Blade Storm, not going to be able to get too much value, but we'll be able to get some for sure, as the Photon Cannon actually hurts. But it will be the Junkrat and the Imperius going down to trade for the Dahaka and the Leoric. So both sides actually fighting pretty evenly. It was an even talent here. Both sides did have the level 13s. But Silent Shu going to finish off the Bruiser camp. And Came From Behind going to be taking down their own as well. They won't be able to take their Siege camp, at least not until Can't Pause, Won't Pause want to play aggressively. They have the level 16 talents now. The Archangel is available in the middle of the map if they want to go for that. And because they have both the forts done, they will have passive push coming in through both their lanes. Now Mojo is the one that's pushing out a little bit forward, but again, it is that Samuro, not exactly the easiest target to go for, as both sides just going to be clearing away the Bruiser camps that are pushing into their lanes. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause, they're on the enemy side of the map. They're going to be able to take control of the left side And that could make it a bit more threatening to go on to this point. But Mr. Hustler already ready. Going to use the Wrecking Ball into the charge. And now the taunt. And they're going to almost be able to burst down Marbuckle. But because they weren't able to, Marbuckle going to be able to heal back up. They have the drag. York Freezer trying to run away. Huckett is the one that's caught in the Entomb. The Tranquility is getting popped. But the Photon Cannon doing a lot of damage to Huckett. Marbuckle still chasing. But with another Wrecking Ball will be able to stay from behind. But the Drain Hope. Cubico able to get that kill, and now they have the drag as well on to Mr. Hustler. Mr. Hustler, 300 HP. One more auto for Marbuckle. That's going to be a 2-0. And now they can start pushing. They see the keep right in front of them in this bot lane. Waterlong just going to be setting up a couple Photon Cannons for the extra poke, as Marbuckle is going to be able to take one of these points, and the rest of the team going to get started on the boss. The Archangel will be there for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. And I suspect they came from behind. They're not going to be able to defend this. They're not going to be able to contest it. But Gerg Freezer and Top Gun, they could try and find a pickoff after the fact. They don't have their level 16 talents up, as Mojo trying to deny the point. We'll be able to for a little bit, as Marbuckle just going to be trading with Mojo. The Archangel does go down in the meanwhile, but again, these trades, the Dahaka should always win, at least in these short-term trades. Constantly going back and forth. I believe neither side really wins. But the Dahaka will be able to take control of the points. But now the Archangel's pushing out in the top side. Does have the wave to deal with, so that will slow it down a little bit. But Cubico has the Entomb on Huckett again. Their main target, Tranquility, going to get popped immediately. Now Silent Shoe looking for the Rain of Vengeance. Not going to be able to land it. Gerg Freezer tanking up the damage from Silent Shoe. Has the Rocket Ride and will pop it. And looking for Silent Shoe, but Huckett is going to go down. And now the boss is already on the point. The Zerg now going to be spawning as well in the bot lane. They're going to have massive pushes on every side. Mr. Hustler going to go down. Mojo super low as well. Just barely going to be able to jump away in time. As the push continues, the Archangel starting to get a little bit low, but there's less and less players to deal damage to it. The Top Gun getting zoned away. Gerg Freezer zoned away from the Archangel. So this top lane keep will go down as the final set of damage are going to be coming through. And now the Zerg have reached the bot lane as well. Mojo going to be using that Blaze Storm, but now they have the Entomb on a Top Gun. And with the drag, the Concussion Mine will buy a little bit of space, but Silent Shoe with more than enough damage to get that kill. And between the Archangel, between the 5 on, soon to be 4 actually, but I think it is a little bit too little, too late. Came from behind. They're able to come back and take game 2, and we are going to a game number 3. Probius comes out on top. Not something I expected to say really at any point during this season, but I mean, the value was there. Number 1 DPS in the game, 0 deaths, Waterlong on Probius. And I have to give credit to Came From Behind. They were able to be entirely on top of Silent Shoe in that early game. They were able to get good value, able to take down 2 of those Gambit stacks within the first 3 to 4 minutes. And I mean, that's really hard to come back on as the Vala, but everyone else definitely were able to pick up some of the slack in the early game, let Silent Shoe scale up into the mid to late game. And then after being able to take 2 sets of Zerg in a row, they had the 2 forts gone, and they were able to just snowball their way to victory. So well played by Can't Pause, Won't Pause. And now we are going to be heading into that game 3. But first, we're going to go to a short break. And when we come back, we'll have that deciding match. So don't go anywhere.
Towers of Doom.
All right, and we are in our third and final map for the first series of the day between Came From Behind and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. We are going to Towers of Doom. Now, this is a fun map as well. Okay, genuinely, huge credit to these two teams just for the single reason of them picking my 3 favorite maps to cast. I genuinely think all my best matches have been on these 3 maps, and I love casting them. I could cast them all day, every day. But now with that, the band's going to get started. Once again, it's going to be the Stukov band for Can't Pause, Won't Pause, Anduin as well from Came From Behind, so it will be pretty similar there. And then, gonna be interesting to see how they're gonna go after that. Sorry, 1 second. Vendrick, you can just ask me straight up in chat. Sorry, it's easier than DMs. I'm not just buying a license, a music license to keep it from VODs. I have been DMCA struck before, so I'm just being super careful with it. I don't want to get DMCA'd again. It has been cleared after a couple months, but it just is not worth the process. The license barely cost me anything. It's like $30 or $40 a year or something around that anyway. So definitely worth it for my peace of mind. But regardless, getting back into the draft, the Uther going to get banned for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Not surprising at all because that Uther on Top Gun was absolutely devastating to play into. That double healer composition was so difficult for them to navigate. And if you remove the Uther, the options you have for a double heal comp become so much smaller. And that extra crowd control you get from the Uther not going to be there, makes it easier to navigate, even if it does end up being another double heal comp. Now, Dahaka was banned by Came From Behind, getting rid of that double soaker. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause is going to be picking the Junkrat first for Silent Shoe. Came From Behind going to lock in the Vala for Top Gun. And Mr. Hustler playing the Oriole this time around. And that's going to be a pretty interesting team composition there. Because Oriole typically means that they're going to be playing more of a Deathball composition. Oriole heals are just big AoE spots. So if you're able to keep your entire team within that spot, you get more value from the healing. But it also means that that can be beaten. But at Can't Pause, Won't Pause, they're going to lock in the Murden for Cubico. And the White Mane for Waterlong, they're going to have their own hyper healer. But White Mane, for the most part, is really good at healing single targets rather than AoE. So it's going to be some pretty interesting draft differences just between those two healers. Now, Blaze will be banned again by Came From Behind. So I think at this point, I can just safely say Marbuckle, probably known for the Blaze, has never been allowed to play it. And then for Can't Pause, Won't Pause, not sure exactly what they're going to ban away last. But Vendrick, I used to not save any music for my VODs. That was for my live stream. If the music agencies want to DMCA you, they will find a way. Like, that's all I can say. It was literally like 30 seconds of a YouTube video. That's what I got hit for. And I always had it set up in a way where my VODs would have none of my music. It would only have my microphone saved. Now I do save my music because I do have rights to it. So now I'm not worried about that happening. And I think it just makes the VOD experience a bit better as well. So I'm just okay having that. I'm also happy to pay for better music. I think it just makes it better overall. But now Rhaegar going to get locked in for Huckett, and Anubrak going to get locked in for Gurk Freezer. So definitely some changes in terms of roles here. It is going to be the double healer, by the way. It is going to be the Rhaegar Oriole, but again, without the Anubrak, it's going to be a bit more difficult without the Uther, it's going to be a bit more difficult to play that, to be as oppressive as they were, as the Lost Vikings locked in for Marbuckle, best double soaker in the game, one of the best Towers of Doom's offlaners. And Zagara locked in for my pal Shade, also really good at just holding individual lanes. And I think into a double heal comp, this could actually be pretty good. But Zeratul, 10th pick for Mojo. Very solid at pushing out multiple waves and also really good at single target damage. I can really pick off those individual Vikings. Can not completely match the push because, again, there's only one Zeratul compared to the 3 Vikings. But other than that, comes really close. Probably one of the fastest double soakers in the entire game. Well, with that, the drafts are done. Can't pause, won't pause. Overcome the double healer comp this time around? Let's find out as we head to game number 3. I totally forgot to click the button to move back to this screen, but all right, we are in it, and it is going to be a fun little map starting out. Powers of Doom, Game 3. Winner gets 2 points for this game, so 3 points overall from the series, but at least neither side going to be walking away empty-handed. Now, looking at the talents, it is going to be Creed of the Hunter. Getting played by Top Gun, so will be those auto attacks will be scaling later on. But the Vikings going to be setting 2 top. It's just going to be Baylog holding down the mid lane, while the entirety of Can't Pause, Won't Pause has already gone to the bot lane. My pal Shade already tossing in the Tumors, going to be throwing in the Banelings and the Roaches already into the wall. It's not going to get too much damage done, but it will get a little bit as Cubico getting jumped on. Hey, with the Impale as well. The concussion line is there to knock Top Gun away. And now bits and bobs of trading going to be happening over in this bot lane. But again, double healer comp came from behind. And Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They have the natural trade coming out of Cubico. And Waterlong also able to heal without burning any mana. At least with one of those talents. As Mr. Hustler going to get poked away a little bit as they're looking for my pal Shade. Detainment Strike and the Bro Charge not going to be able to land. But pseudo First Blood, Mojo able to take down Eric in the top lane. Does lose a lot of HP for it, though. Marbuckle could be in a place to take them down later on. But bot lane push coming in strong for Came From Behind. They're going to get first move here. But Cubico gonna tank it up a little bit just to make sure they cannot approach the walls. But now, Came From Behind. They're looking to steal away the Sapper camp. And Can't Pause, Won't Pause. It looks like they're just willing to give it away. Now, I think that does make a little bit of sense. Their entire team composition does rely a little bit on scaling up, getting a little bit of their talents, getting more and more of their damage. Sappercamp will take down one of the cannon towers. Not actually going to hit too much on the gate. So at least it didn't get that double explosion, but that's still going to be good value for Came From Behind. And that's not even to mention the extra experience they get for taking down that Sappercamp. But now they're looking for their own camp as well, and Can't Pause, Won't Pause not going to be looking to contest it. So there will be 2 Sapper camps going over to Came From Behind. And now they're starting their push in the bot lane. Gurk Freezer not going to be going forward. I saw Bloodlust. Maybe that was just me, though. But with that, the push is coming through, and it's coming through pretty strongly as well. These 3 Sappers, if they're able to get it just a little bit closer, will start running into those walls as well. And now they're looking for the play into the back line, but Gurk Freezer not going to be able to land, but the Sapper camp going to blow up the gate. So that will be all 6 Sappers landing as the Detainment Strike does that, and Cubico with the Impale, surviving longer than I expected, but will go down in the end. That's going to be first blood going over truly now for Came From Behind. Gurk Freezer does get tossed into the back lane, but again, double healer composition. Very difficult to burst anyone down. The bell tower definitely helps out with that, but not quite as much as one might hope. Now the altars are available. 3 altars on the map. Marbuckle going to get top right. Mojo looking for top left, but Marbuckle with the other, with Eric, going to be a little bit annoying for her. Just kind of trying to delay a little bit there. But Mojo looking for Eric. And with a couple spins, a couple autos, still not going to be able to get it as Eric's able to just run away. But buys quite a bit of time as Cubico getting jumped on in the mid lane as well. The Impale does land Cubico. Stun up into the wall. And again, Waterlong just not going to be able to have enough mana to keep them alive. As they're able to take down Veilog as well. So that's going to be 1 1/3 kill. Marbuckle there, but the Detainment Strike does land. And with that, Eric will also follow. That's going to be a couple kills going over for Came From Behind. That did allow Can Pause, Won't Pause to buy a little bit of time, though, because the next set of altars doesn't spawn, or the timer doesn't start until this one goes through. So it's still going to be 36-32, but there was time for both teams to collect more soak to start scaling up into the mid to late game. And the Vikings scale extremely well into the late game. But now they're on the Sapper camp again, both sides level 7, but this time it looks like Can Pause, Won't Pause. They're looking to potentially contest onto it. But the concussion mine's going to go off, and Cubico does not commit the Dwarf Toss to get started on the fight. Both sides are level 7 now. But Girk Freezer looking forward. Will land the Impale on a Silent Shoe, but not going to be able to accomplish much more other than that. But the Sapper Camp will still come through, as one of them's just kind of bugging out, but eventually will get the last little bit of a charge. I think was just kind of body blocked perfectly by the minion, so wasn't able to get through. But either way, Marbuckle just trading a little bit with Mojo on the top side. Eric, bit by bit, will be able to slowly poke them out. But again, with the amount of pressure that this double soak can have, Mojo able to clear things out really fast. And with those little bit of health orbs, should have more than enough as Baylog getting low, but so is Mojo. But now they're looking over to the bot lane. The cleanse is going to come through. Cubico's going to be okay, but does get thrown down about half HP. And Mojo actually forced to Hearth out, so the Vikings starting to get their damage online. Neither side's level 10, but it's going to be double altars spawning in the bot lane. But the push with the Sapper Camp is going to be pushing through the bot lane. 4 Came From Behind. And even with the Zagra, they're just not able to take control of the bot lane, but now the Bro Charge coming through. But no follow-up. One of the Sappers has already landed, and the other 2 should get cleared away, as the final set of Banelings is going to be able to at least clean those up this time around. So it's just going to be the 1 Sapper hitting from that second set. And now Girk Freezer will land the Impale on the Cubico. Huckett gonna be getting the charge as Cubico will land the Stormbolt, but slightly too late. So there will be 4 extra damage going into the core of Can Pause, Won't Pause. There's now bits of damage still coming through. Mojo just getting delayed infinitely, but level 10s are now up for Can Pause, Won't Pause. This could be an opportunity for them to fight. Crimson Aegis is coming through. Level 10 still not there for Can Pause, Won't Pause. They will lose Baylog. Just trying to delay this altar, but Marbuckle is going to be in a bad spot. Will lose Eric as well. It's just going to be Olaf pushing on the top side. Cocoon is going to land. They have the Detainment Strike as well. Rain of Vengeance onto Cubico. Cubico is starting to get pretty low, as lots of stuff is spawning into the back line. But again, with the Haymaker, at least able to get rid of Girk Freezer, but the White Mane is going to go down. Top Gun still playing forward. And with a double healer, there's really no reason not to. That's one of those things. As someone who enjoys playing Vala as well, if you have a double healer and you know you can just freely dive, you can get so much value with it. You can just play as deep as you want, as aggressively as you want, because it's really hard to punish you. But now the bottom bell tower already going to go down. Came From Behind in a really good spot this game. And now they're going to be able to steal another siege camp. Now, in terms of experience, they're not too far behind, only half a level. But considering it's 4-0 and they've lost an entire fort, you would expect it to be a little bit higher. But I suspect that is mostly due to the last Vikings. Very good. That's talking on multiple lanes as Mojo almost taking down both Olaf and Eric. But not going to be able to take down either of them to start. Now Sansu just trying to get some of those grenades hopping either onto a target or onto the fort, but not going to be able to get either. And now this next set of Sappers, Cubico trying to delay it. The Riptire lands into the backline. They're looking for Top Gun. They have the Crystal Aegis buying enough time, but the Haymaker will be there, but not able to knock them into the backline. Rain of Vengeance lands onto Cubico. Same time able to get into the backline. Eric does go down in the meanwhile on the top side as Girk Freezer one more hit, but the shield from the Burrow Charge is going to be more than enough, as now Huckett still playing forward. Top Gun got another set of stacks already at 150, getting 3%. of those extra charges on the Hatred. So it's going to be a lot more damage. Waterlung taking a lot of poke from Top Gun. But in the end, not going to matter too much as now Marbuckle trying to get that extra little bit of charge and will be able to. So at least it's something going the whip. Can't pause, won't pause. They're looking for Mojo, but not going to be able to find him. And now Tainment Strike not going to land on either of the Vikings. Cubico is the one that's kind of taking the autos from Top Gun, but again, that close to a wall will be safe. So that's a big win for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Getting that 3 damage, not taking the 5. But now My Pal Shade gonna get hit into the wall. The cleanse is through. As Cubico looking for the backline, they have the Devouring Maw onto the main tank. And now the Haymaker getting ready, but not able to find the angle. So not gonna use it quite yet. And I think that's smart. If you don't have the perfect angle, there's no reason to force it out. Because once you lose the threat of the Haymaker, there's really not too much for Came From Behind to be worried about. So now Cubico looking for Top Gun. And now the Riptire in the back line. They're looking for Top Gun, but not going to be able to find it. And now the stun coming in. The Burrow Charge with the Impale. Cubico starting to get pretty low. Crimson Aegis is going to pop in the back line. And now they have the stun on a Gurk Freezer. But again, that's the main tank into double healer. Such a difficult play to make work. They're trying to DPS at least a little bit onto the bell tower, but they're not able to take it back. As now Sound Shoe starting to get low. Top Gun looking for the backline as well. The Stormbolt lands on it too. And the Haymaker is still available, but they're still not able to find the angle for it. But at the very least, Can't Pause, Won't Pause in a really good chance to retake this bottom bell tower. Just need a little bit more damage, and with this spawning of roaches, will be able to take control. But with that, they're slowly but surely scaling further and further into the late game. And we're slowly starting to see the damage does ramp up as they get those talents. Now the Siege Camp is going to get started by Came From Behind, but that also means that Can't Pause, Won't Pause will be able to get first move on the altar. Marbuckle is here trying to dismount everyone. Kubiko just trying to buy some space. But it's difficult. Both teams bring most of their members. It's just going to be Baylog not here. As Mojo's even down here to try and fight and contest on to this point. We're going to have to zoom out to be able to see everything going on here. Both sides are level 14 as Olaf starting to get really low. They're going to be able to get the invuln as well onto Eric. Now they have the Cocoon into the back line. They're looking for Silent Shoe, but with that, Came From Behind will be able to take control of the area. Now Cubico gets stunned up into the wall. They have the slows coming through. Riptire going to buy a little bit of space. Crimson Aegis coming through, but Gurk Freezer starting to get low. But again, the shield from the Burrow Charge enough to keep them alive. And now they have the stun on to Mr. Hustler. Rain of Vengeance going to be used for Peel. And Came From Behind, able to get the 4 damage and able to get away. Now Marbuckle at least was able to get a little bit of a push in the top side during that. But now the camp has respawned. They're looking for it. Cubico looking for the backline, able to land the Stormbolt onto Mr. Hustler, but the chain CC onto Cubico. Not along, trying to keep Cubico alive. And the Haymaker used defensively this time around. And now the Vikings are here, have used their play again, looking for Gurk Freezer. Look at that burst damage, but the spin not going to be able to deal too much damage. But that might be enough to zone them away from this objective. All the heroics are down for both teams, but a lot of them are starting to come back up. Crimson Aegis in 5 seconds. Another Cocoon coming out from Gurk Freezer soon as well. So who's going to be able to take the Sapper Cap? This is what the game's about. The Cocoon got to be coming through, but same with the Concussion Mine. They have the Crimson Aegis into the back line. And Gurk Freezer actually going to be the first one to go down. And they will be able to take the Sapper Cap. And Cubico able to take down Mojo in the back line. They're still chasing. They could still look for more. Mr. Hustler could be in a pretty bad spot. And they have the slow. Stormbolt will land on it too. Will that give them enough space? Mr. Hustler going to get body block. Has the Crystal Aegis. But now they have the Maw as well. Do they have the angle? Riptire over to the back line. Hug at the final survivor. But Cubico with the big hammer going to be able to bring it down. And it's a 5-0. Can't pause, won't pause on the back line of every single one of these fights. And that was it. They were going to be able to take the bell tower. They're going to be able to take all 3 altars. They got everything for them. And we have finished the giveaway for the t-shirts. So at the end of today's stream, we will be setting up a raffle, but that will be after today's second series. So be sure to stick around. Around 10 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. Eastern. But again, this push coming through. Can't pause, won't pause. They may have just broken open the game. They already have the bottom bell tower. They've already taken the mid lane wall as well. Now the Siege Camp is available on the bot side. They're getting set up here. But it doesn't seem like they want to go for it. They want to spend their time defending onto this as Daylog gets burst down by Mojo, as these things do happen. And now they're getting started on the siege camp. But camp pause, won't pause. I don't expect they'll go for it. My Pal Shade is a little bit too far behind. And I don't think they care too much about giving away one sapper camp. I don't think it's worth the risk. They have just gotten themselves a very solid lead after being pushed behind pretty far this entire game. But now they're looking forward. They have the cleanse. Gurk Freezer is going to be able to cocoon the healer. But the Crystal Aegis, again, preventing the Haymaker from Cubico. And Cubico starting to get flow, but won't be able to get the kill. And now the Riptire lands onto the backline. Silent Shoe is going to be the target, but Crimson Aegis Mojo going to be taken down to 200 HP. And Mr. Hustler will be able to get the final little bit of healing that is needed. Now the Roach is going to be spawning out into the backline as well. And just a lot of trading back and forth, but the thing with double healer is you have less damage yourself, but it's so hard to take you down. And because of that, both these two teams just getting close in the fights, but neither one able to take anyone down. Whoever gets the first kill usually can snowball the rest. But Mojo sees Silent Shoe. This is the perfect target to go on. And Wit doesn't even need the healing. Will be able to get the first kill immediately. But Gurk Freezer starting to get pretty low, but double healer comp is there. And now they will at least be able to get one of these two altars. Marbuckle just trying to buy a little bit of space, buy a little bit of time. But with that, they're happy to have the 5-4-3 damage trade. So it is going to be 13-17. Technically one normal altar lead for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. As now they're grouping together into the bot lane. And this could also be an opportunity for Came From Behind to retake this bell tower. And it looks like that's exactly the plan. They're going to take it for themselves. And we are back to a mostly even game. Though half a level lead now for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. But with this Abercamp pushing in, there is no wall here. It could be a big opportunity for them to try looking for that as well. However, Shoe Puff will be, Silent Shoe will be respawning shortly. And we'll be here for the defense as well. And the Sapper is actually going to help buy the wave a little bit of time as it is pushing forward. Mr. Hustler trying to get the push in with the Crescent Sweep. But again, both sides, they're scared now because one team fight could decide everything. It is just going to be the solo altar in this next set. So this next set of altars not going to be able to end the game for either of these two teams. But both teams are getting low. This could happen at any moment now. Level 20 is now available for Can't Pause, Won't Pause as they get started on the siege camp. I don't know how much value they'll be able to get with this. I don't think they'll be able to take down the bottom bell tower, but Gurk Freezer could look for the play. But this is the fight that I think Can't Pause, Won't Pause want to fight. They have all members here. They're going to be able to steal the siege camp and Came From Behind wisely decide not to engage with it. Mojo just trying to soak up that level 20 in the offlane. Should be able to with this wave. So now both sides aren't an even talent here, but the positioning is just too good for the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Eric is going to be able to take the altars. It's going to be only 4 damage, but Cubico looking for the backline. Going to get hit by the Burrow Charge into so many stuns as Gurk Freezer is in the backline. Crimson Aegis will buy a lot of space. And with the mod, they're on it to the gun. Mojo as well. It's going to be 2-0. And now they can dive onto the backline. But the backline is able to run away in time. Because of this, though, they're going to lose their bottom bell tower again. They just got a Cubico looking for the stun in the backline. Will land it. But no one else is able to follow up on a Top Gun. Marbuckle is here as well. They have the stun. The spin also dealing half of Top Gun's health. Don't underestimate the burst that these Vikings can do in the late game. A quick tab check? I'm not sure what that is. Is this what you're asking for, Hector? Hopefully that was. Oh, yeah, it is just the two Viking hordes. I don't know. It might just be a bug. You never know. But either way, they're going to be able to take the boss on the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They will give back that fort, but I think they're mostly okay with it because they will get that 4 damage, and they just need 5 overall to win this game. This middle bell tower also really low HP now. 4 Came From Behind. And now they're looking over for that siege camp again as both sides, again, just constantly playing for this. And with the Vikings this late into the game, they can send just one Viking towards the altar and send the rest just to defend on the front line and play aggressively. It makes it so difficult for Came From Behind to properly answer the pressure off the map. Now the Hungering Arrow actually going to be perfectly onto Cubico. And it looks like Came From Behind, they're willing to trade this. So they're willing to sit at that 1 HP point. Eric gonna be able to get that final channel as both sides are okay with this trade. So it's gonna be 1 HP to 13. And this next fight is going to really determine everything as Gerd Freezer, sorry, gets taken down a half HP. But again, neither side want to fully commit on to a fight. There's a big wave pushing into the bot lane. And this is actually going to provide a lot of pressure onto this bell tower. And again, Marbuckle able to provide push in the mid lane as well. And because they have to answer on all these waves, can't pause, won't pause. They're just going to steal away the siege camp. And if they're able to get this in, they will be able to steal that bell tower. But now they're looking forward. Gerd Freezer will be able to steal it. Now they have the mob, but it is just going to be on the Anubrak. Neither side wants to commit on this fight yet again. Both sides just playing a little bit, not scared, but a little bit hesitant. Just neither one wants to be the one to give this game away, because right now either of these two teams could definitely come out on top. But now the push happening in the bot lane. They could get the set pushing forward as Cubico goes in, lands the stun to the back line. Top Gun in a pretty bad spot, and now they're still just chasing on to Top Gun. The Vikings are there, but the Crystal Aegis will be able to buy some space. They're able to take down the Eric as another Riptire going to be coming through. It's quite slow because of the totem. It's just going to land on to Top Gun. We'll get a little bit of that timer back. Play again is available for the Vikings that want to use it, as Mojo is standing perfectly still. Sanchu is blocked, and that's how they're able to find Mojo. Waterlong will be able to heal up Silent Shoe. Level 22 now going to come through for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. And this altar could be an opportunity for them to end the game. Came From Behind. They have to be able to take this. As Mojo looking for the backline, will get stunned up by the Olaf, as Gerd Freezer also just so much damage coming in from both sides. As I just need this full screen to see both sides of this fight. And then the Vikings are pushing out that mid lane. That could open up the mid lane bell tower. And I think these minions should be able to take it even without the help of the Viking. So that on its own gonna open up even more pressure in favor of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They have the stun. Mojo gonna get taken down to around half HP. And that's an opportunity for Cubico to go in, looking forward. Not going to be able to land it onto anyone. Riptire got to actually get it prevented. Crystal Aegis coming through. Sanshu in a good spot, as well as Gerd Freezer not able to land the stun to the backline. Top Gun gets taken down so low, but they're able to take down two of the Vikings. And Top Gun still looking forward. Marbuckle going to use play again. So the Vikings are now back. And now they have the Devouring Maw on a two in the front. And Cubico going to be able to take down two. They're going to take down three. And that should be the game. Can't pause, won't pause. Looking for Hugger to take down the fourth. Mojo going to be in the middle of the fight here. Going to be in the middle of everyone. But as much time as they can buy, they cannot buy the game. And Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They will be able to win game 3. And they'll be able to win this series. And an absolutely insane game 3. Like I always say, Battlefield of Eternity, Brax's Holdout, Towers of Doom, that's how you do a best of 3. You know, there's no 3 better maps in this entire game to have that happen on. And I mean, with that, gotta declare the winner. Can't Pause, Won't Pause, just playing super well. And that's just the Vikings on towers. If you're able to scale up into that mid to late game, just makes it so much harder for the other team to play. A lot of damage on the Vikings. A lot of damage really on the main DPS as well. Silent Shoe, 94k. My Pal Shade, 85. And now with that, I'm going to try and set up an interview. So don't go anywhere while I do get that started, or at least while I look for that. One day I'll learn how to talk while doing this, but today is not that day. All right, but I have pinged them. I'm waiting for them to show up, but either way, that's a massive win for them. Getting those 3 points really going to put them in a pretty good spot.
Am I allowed to be here?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, welcome. And for everyone in chat, I am joined here by Silent Shoe and Water Long.
Hello.
Hi.
So, I mean, first of all, congrats on that 2-1 victory. And how does it feel?
Crazy. Like last game was crazy. I don't know what happened. We just kind of I don't know.
White Man wasn't banned for the first time all season.
Yeah, I mean, really good stats on the white main. 97k healing. Just barely number one for that last game. Mr. Hustler was there at 92.5k, but I mean, talk to me about that game 3, especially. That Towers game was super close, and then you got that 5-0 team fight, and with that, you were just able to kind of snowball it in. So, tell me what was going through your heads during that team fight that turned it all around.
We just kept saying, just gotta wait till later in the game. Just gotta wait till later in the game. Just gotta wait till later in the game.
Play as slow as possible. Zagara win the game for us.
And then we hit, I think that was just as we hit 16, around there. And our heroes came online. Zagara became a hero. And so did Vikings get really dangerous at 16. So it just everything triggered right at the correct moment, and we were able to capitalize with some just crazy plays.
Yeah, we were prepared to lose the early game hard, but we only lost it a little bit. So we came back very strong.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely did lose the early game, but like you said, you had the Zagara, you had the Vikings. The early game was never the plan going in. But this was the second game of the series where you were into the double healer comp. Now, I know it is different when one of the healers is Uther, but just kind of tell me about that game 1. Do you think you'd be able to win if they had someone other than the Uther as their double healer?
The Uther was great. They played it great as well. Like it is just really well executed. Overall, in general, like the Uther was a real problem. And so with they just I don't know. That was crazy comp. Really well executed. Really well thought out.
We got owned in that first game.
It was nice to watch. Like I died a lot, so I got to sit back and be like, that's a interesting comp. Write that one down.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching a lot of games in Europe. I've been watching a lot of games, even here in the NGS, and especially in these upper divisions and that Div B through Heroic. Uther has definitely been coming out on top a lot. I think it's a hero that's definitely starting to make its way into the meta, and it's one that I really enjoy watching too. So, but that's just my selfish opinion on that.
He's fun to have on your team, not fun on the other team.
We're just remembering he exists.
Yeah, exactly. But with that game, this does help keep your playoff dreams alive. So you are now going to be at 14 points, though you will also have the most games played in Division A. I believe mathematically playoffs is still definitely possible, and it's still in your hands if you are going to make it or not. Now, is this something that really matters to you as players? Does it matter a lot to you as a team? Or was this kind of a season to just play, start working together, see what kind of comps you can build, and then play for future seasons?
We started off really rough this season. I think it wasn't until like 3 weeks ago where we actually got all 5-ish people at the same time. That's when we started winning again. But so it would be nice, just as like a comeback story. We were at the bottom for a long time of the div with 0 map wins. So it would be nice. Like it's understandable if we are incapable of achieving the comeback. It's not quite in our hands, I think, anymore. I mean, we needed a domination today. But yeah, it would be really cool. I think everyone wants it now.
That team lets me pick Probe. I am completely satisfied.
All right. But I mean, not to end on that sour note, but I mean, you still are definitely showing good team fight ability, especially in that game 2 on Braxis was pretty dominant as well coming out. And then game 3, obviously you were behind early, but once you hit that trigger, once you hit those level 16s, it was just nonstop domination from your side. I mean, the pieces are definitely there for your team.
It's kind of a funny story about Braxis. We started off, every single one of us hates that map, and by the end of the season, probably one of our better maps now.
Yeah, I think I just generally ban it until I started playing with water.
All right. And then my final question to you, as my usual final question, are there any shout outs you'd like to give, and is there anything you'd like to say to your fans out there?
Yeah, shout out to Kai, as always. Hope recovery's going well. Shout out to Shibe, who's always in our Discord, ready to jump in if we need him. And shout out to our many fans, of course.
Yeah, they keep us well air conditioned.
Yes, this is why we do it. That's why we do it, to stay cool.
Yeah, for the summer months.
Yes,
They're coming.
they're here for me. And thank you as well for casting us. It is nice to be able to put on a little bit of a show in the light instead of in the shadows.
I mean, you put on an absolutely great show today, so thank you for that. Always more entertaining to cast and always more fun to cast when the game itself is an absolute banger, and you definitely delivered that today. Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, well, with that, thank you very much for coming for the interview, and congrats again on your win. You have a good night.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
you
you
so
too.
much.
Have a good night.
And with that, I would also give a shout out to Bankai. Thank you so much for your Prime sub. We have hit the new record of 35 sub points. But now, as well as some of you have noticed, we have hit the community challenge goal. We have hit those 100,000 points. So we will be having the t-shirt giveaway tonight after our second series of the day, which will be Division B West, Bork Side of the Moon versus Roll 1 Esports. Now, I will need to prep that. That's going to be starting in 20 minutes, so Voril Vendrick, not going to be any mushroom time today, but you should definitely still download the game, install it, so that you have something to do during those next 20 minutes, but I'm going to be getting set up, getting that raffle ready. And I've gotten one to work before, but I can promise you I will make sure it does work. I'm not going to scam anyone out of any points. But with that, I'm going to go to a slightly elongated break. And then when we come back, we're going to be going to that Div B West game. So see y'all in 15 to 20 minutes. And for once, feel free to go somewhere if you wish. Just be back soon. See you in a bit.